The Zephyrian fleet descended upon New Eden like metallic locusts, their angular ships casting shadows across the agricultural domes that had taken 3 generations to perfect. Commander Vextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, mandibles clicking with satisfaction as he observed the human settlement through the view screen. A minor outpost, his tactical officer reported, compound eyes flickering across holographic displays. Population 847 humans, no significant military presence detected. Vextar's forearms gestured dismissively. The humans are soft. This will serve as an adequate demonstration before we claim their core worlds. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 17 species across 12 star systems. Humanity would be the 18th. Below, Colony Administrator Sarah Chen watched the alien ships through her office window, her hand instinctively reaching for the emergency beacon. The message she transmitted was simple. New Eden under attack. Tell them we tried to be worthy of Earth. The first bombardment lasted 6 hours. Precision strikes eliminated the communication array, the planetary defense grid, and the spaceport. The Zephyrians weren't interested in total destruction. They wanted the infrastructure intact for their own use. They wanted the humans to surrender. They had clearly never studied human history. When the bombardment ceased, Vextar's ground forces descended, 10,000 elite Zephyrian warriors, each standing 9 feet tall with exoskeletons that could deflect small arms fire. They expected to find a broken population ready to submit. Instead, they found Sarah Chen standing in the town square with every able-bodied colonist behind her, holding hunting rifles, mining equipment, and improvised weapons. "This is Administrator Chen," she broadcast on all frequencies. "New Eden does not surrender. The battle lasted 3 days. The humans, outnumbered and outgunned, fought from every building, every tunnel, every shadowed corner of their home. They turned agricultural equipment into weapons, used their knowledge of the colony's layout to lay ambushes, and made the Zephyrians pay for every meter of ground." Vextar watched his casualty reports with growing bewilderment. These weren't soldiers, they were farmers, teachers, engineers, children barely old enough to hold weapons. Yet they fought with a ferocity that defied logic. When cornered, they didn't surrender. They detonated explosives rather than be taken alive. When wounded, they continued fighting until their last breath. "Why don't they yield?" Vextar demanded of his xenobiologist. "Our victory is inevitable." The scientist's antennae twitched nervously. "I believe, Commander, that humans possess an irrational attachment to concepts they call home and freedom. They appear to value these abstractions more than their own survival." On the second day, 12-year-old Marcus Webb watched his parents die defending the school where his mother taught. He held his father's rifle, too heavy for his small hands, and continued firing from behind the barricades until the Zephyrians overran their position. When they found him, he was unconscious from blood loss but still gripping the weapon. The Zephyrians bound his wounds. Vextar wanted prisoners to interrogate to understand this inexplicable human behavior. Marcus was placed in a holding area with the few other survivors. 19 humans, mostly children and elderly, all that remained of New Eden's population. That night, Marcus listened to the Zephyrians celebrate their victory, their clicking language echoing through the compound they had established in the colony's central plaza. He studied the guards, counted their patrol patterns, memorized the layout of their temporary base. The Zephyrians had made a fundamental error in their assessment of humanity. They assumed that because humans were physically weaker, they were inferior in all ways. They didn't understand that human children were raised on stories of David and Goliath, of impossible odds overcome through courage and cunning. Marcus waited until the deepest part of the night, when the alien guards assumed all humans would be sleeping. He had grown up in New Eden, had played in every building, crawled through every maintenance tunnel, explored every hidden corner with his friends who now lay dead in the rubble. The ventilation system was too small for adult Zephyrians, but perfectly sized for a determined 12-year-old human boy. Moving through the ductwork, Marcus reached the compound's armory. The Zephyrians' own weapons were too large and complex for him to operate, but they had confiscated human equipment as well. He found what he was looking for: thermite charges from the mining operation, remotely detonated and small enough for him to carry. Marcus spent the next 2 hours placing charges throughout the compound. The weapons depot, the command center, the power generator, the communications array. He saved the largest charge for the fuel depot where the Zephyrian shuttles were stored. At dawn, as Vextar prepared to broadcast his victory to the Empire, Marcus triggered the charges from his hiding place in the old colony archives. The explosions lit up the morning sky like a new sun. The command center vaporized. The fuel depot erupted in a pillar of flame that could be seen from orbit. Zephyrian warriors, survivors of battles across the galaxy, ran screaming as their exoskeletons became ovens in the superheated air. Vextar, badly burned but alive, stumbled from the wreckage of his headquarters to find a human child standing in the ruins of the compound. The boy was holding something, a piece of fabric that had somehow survived the destruction. It was a flag, blue background with a circle of golden stars around a representation of Earth, the flag of the human colonial administration, scorched but intact. "My name is Marcus Webb," the boy said, his voice steady despite his injuries. "And this is what happens when you invade a human colony." Vexitar raised his weapon but hesitated. Around him, the compound continued to burn. His fleet was crippled, his ground forces decimated. This child, this single human child, had accomplished what entire armies had failed to do against the Zephyrian Empire. "Your people are extinct," Vextar hissed. "You have no home to return to." Marcus looked up at the alien commander, and Vextar saw something in the boy's eyes that made his exoskeleton shiver. Not fear, not despair, but an absolute, unshakable certainty. "Wrong," Marcus said. "Every human world is my home, and now they know you can be beaten." That night, a Zephyrian escape pod launched from the ruins of New Eden, carrying its sole occupant toward the edge of human space. Inside, Marcus Webb sat clutching his colony's flag, his message already transmitted on every human frequency. New Eden sends its regards. They came with 10,000. One human child walks out carrying our flag. Come and take the next one. 6 months later, when the human defense fleet arrived to retake New Eden, they found the colony's flag still flying above the ruins, and a small monument Marcus had built from rubble. The inscription, carved in a child's careful handwriting, read, "Here stood New Eden. They came to conquer. They learned why Earth never yields. The Zephyrian Empire never invaded another human world."